I'm gonna say happy Sunday. I don't feel like I'm particularly feeling like it's a happy Sunday, but happy Sunday. I hope that we can make it a happier Sunday by being here together today. I feel like, just based on some of your messages and comments, I'm not the only one having a ridiculously long, heavy, crazy, out there week. So I'm excited for us to check in and see where everybody's at. Maybe we can lift each other up a little bit. Kind of a tendency to do that, I think. I feel like these calls really tend to shift a lot of energy around, and I need to have a lot of energy shifted around right now. I think that sometimes that's something that we're not really aware of, be it physical energy or just stuck mental energy, that it can really help to just get some of it moving. Hey, Spugkey. How are you doing this week? Charles, OFL, David. I feel like there's always this weird delay when I log in before I see any of the messages, so I'm wondering if there's a slight delay. Hey, Ashley. Just everybody with me. I think we all just need to breathe. Spooky says, I'm in intense pain from brucitis in my hip. I hope you find some pain relief for that. Ooh, Aaron and David are going to start dueling to the death over me. Ashley says, I need a deep breath. Me too, my love, me too. So before we get started, just the normal housekeeping that if you are in a mental health crisis, please make sure that you're reaching out and getting the help that you deserve, because I'm not a mental health professional, so I can give you my insight. I can talk about my experiences and what does and doesn't work for me, share my struggles. We can all hold space for each other, but there does come a point that if we're really having mental health crises, that we might have to reach out to a professional or go to the local ER. And it's perfectly okay to ask for help. It's perfectly okay to seek professional help. Yes, Ashley is my gay best friend. Yes, we need to go shopping, Ashley. Hey, Creole, it has been a minute. Oh, okay, inflamed hip joint. That does sound painful. David says, I was using the British Royal, my lady. My apologies. I can totally hear you with a British accent, David. I feel like I'd make a cute little royal lady, like a cute little queen type. Am I the only one? David, does Angela Lansbury, does Jessica Fletcher not have kind of a Queen of England vibe about her, that she just seems very sophisticated? David says, I have a bowler hat. Okay, when you say bowler, I think Briscoe. Please tell me someone in here, one of the 18 souls in here, please tell me that somebody remembers the adventures of Briscoe County Jr. Just please. I won't talk about it, but please tell me that somebody remembers that. Because every time I hear bowler, that's what I think of. It was really funny, though, because when I was watching that show, I was in 3rd grade. I was going to marry Bruce Campbell, who plays the titular character, Briscoe. And I remember thinking that Lord Bowler's name was Lord Boulder. So that's what I always heard. I know that Angela Lansbury was born in England. I think that they're just a different breed over there. I have had several British friends, and they just always sound more sophisticated. The accent sounds more sophisticated. The people I've talked to use a lot less slang, so they sound a lot more intelligent. And I've always really enjoyed being around that kind of energy. Team, yes, Team Montgomery says, loved that show, and the actor Bruce Campbell rocks. Hail to the king, baby. Hail to the chin. Yes, I love Bruce Campbell so much. I've met him twice. He was so incredibly sweet to me. The first time I was actually dressed as Dixie Cousins, who's his love interest in the show, for anybody who hasn't watched the show. But I actually dressed as Dixie Cousins. The second time he was here, he did this trivia thing, and I was talking to him, and he was just so personable. I know that a lot of celebrities, when you meet them, they're just autograph, selfie, get out of my face. But he was really kind and asked questions and tried to make it more personal. And I'd actually gotten a Bruce Campbell call for a close friend of mine because Briscoe is not our thing, but other Bruce Campbell shows and movies kind of became our thing. So for his birthday one year, I got him a call with Bruce Campbell, and he said that he was just, he tried so hard to help with his nerves. I do remember Bobby's World Spudkey, where he's riding the little tricycle down the hall. I didn't really watch it a lot, but I do remember it. But anyway, so if you are having a crisis, please make sure that you're reaching out to someone. If you want to make sure that I see a message in here, you can use the super chat or super sticker function. All of that goes to my mental health outreach. I am so sorry, guys, that I had forgotten to post the picture of the urn that I talked about during the last stream where our pledges went, but I did just post that over on the community page just before the stream. So hopefully you'll get a chance to go look at that. But I loved it. It's beautiful. It's beautiful blue urn, and I was really happy that we were able to do that because, like I said, it was very personal to me, having lost both my parents. And I remember that weight of sitting there just wanting my dad's ashes to come home, same with my mom, just wanting him to come home in some way. It brought some kind of closure, and I feel like the grieving process didn't really start until his ashes came home, so it's a pretty big deal. And honestly, I kind of had the same experience with my mom, only my mom passed in 2007 and I didn't get her ashes till 2016. So I do understand that that symbol can be very powerful for helping people to have closure, for helping people take the next step in their grief journey. So I was really happy to be able to do that. And I was very happy that we were able to give that to someone. So thank you guys for the love and support, being able to do that. You can also, if you do want to make a bigger pledge, you can use PayPal or Venmo because YouTube does take a chunk. So if you're making a pledge of $50 or more, you can use Venmo or PayPal. Those are in the descriptions of the live streams. Now I'm going to have Bobby from Bobby's World in my head tonight. T. Montgomery says, Bar, my cousin works at Bruce, came in and he chatted with Aaron, not as an actor, to a fan, just as a dude in a bar to his bartender. I love when actors are like that. I actually, fun story, when I went to, it was called Rewind Con in Chicago back in 2016 also, there were a lot of different actors and stuff from the 90s, a couple from the early 2000s, but mostly from the 90s. And I had gone because I was still checking off meeting members of NSYNC, and Kirkpatrick was at this event. So I'd gone for that. Joey was also there, but I'd already met him. But I remember I went down to the hotel bar to get a drink. It was in the middle of the event. I'd been there for a long time. And I got done talking to Joey Fatone for a while. He sat there and talked to me for forever. I got him the Superman necklace. He was so excited. He wore it. I nearly fainted. But I was down at the bar, and Cole Hauser, I think his name is, the villain from the second Fast and the Furious movie, comes and sits down next to me. And I look, and then I double take, and I recognize him. And we're sitting there chatting, having, I guess, kind of sort of having a drink together. I was drinking and he was drinking, and we were having a conversation next to each other at a bar. So I'm going to say we're having a drink together. And I said, wasn't it in a bar that you had that rat torture that guy in the movie? And he proceeded to tell me that that was actually a real rat. And at first they tried to really put the rat under a bucket, so the rat started biting and scratching the guy for real. And it became a huge hazard and a huge fear. So they had to kind of rethink how to finish that scene out. It was a really interesting experience and conversation. I can go on the list of random things that only happened to Amanda. I actually ended up, they had a little kind of after party for VIPs. And I was standing with my drink, and Chris Patrick from NSYNC was standing with his drink. So again, I'm going to say we were drinking together, and he was trying to make conversation with me, but I think he was having a bad day. It just seemed like something was kind of off, and I didn't get the vibe that he was trying to be rude. I just felt like he was kind of having an off day. And in retrospect, this event was really, really ill planned, and a lot of the celebrities got screwed over. So it might have had something to do with it. But he was trying to make conversation, and I was trying to make conversation without totally fangirling. And I remember telling him that my best friend had talked to her shoe because of him. That my 13-year-old best friend used to talk to her shoe because there's a part in the I Drive Myself Crazy music video. They're all in a psych ward, and he's sitting there talking to his shoe, just kind of rocking back and forth. And I have a picture of my best friend from that era where she's just talking to her shoe. And I told him about that, and he kind of chuckled, and we had a good laugh about it. But yeah, I've had weird experiences like that. I knew somebody that that worked at a bar that had Clint Eastwood come in, and I was kind of jealous about that because I really want to meet Clint, kind of in memory of my dad before Clint passes away. I know he's probably on his last leg. I know that he's not in great health and he's getting up there in age. So I keep thinking this is probably going to be the year that Clint Eastwood goes. I think William Daniels, who played Mr. Feeney, is going to go. I think they're both right at death's door, and I've been anticipating it. I don't think Randy Travis is in super great health either, so I think he's probably going to go fairly soon. And I'm just trying to prepare because while none of those will be Chester status or NSYNC status or anything like that, it definitely affects us, because we grow up on them and we have this parasocial relationship with them. So it does affect us when the people we love in that way pass away. I know that a lot of people, David saying R.I.P. James Earl Jones, so sad. I know a lot of people remember James Earl Jones from Star Wars and stuff like that. But for me, it's Field of Dreams. He reminds me, I think of Field of Dreams when I think of James Earl Jones, and he did absolutely amazing in that movie. I think that movie was incredibly well acted, and I'll still go back every now and then and watch it. Again, I just want to say that if I do come off as rambly, I've still been having really intense insomnia, and it's kind of getting worse. And I've been really frustrated. I'm just going to talk about this for a second. I might make a video about it later, but I'm just going to talk about this for a second. I've been really frustrated because I've gone to the doctor. I've talked to several mental health professionals. I even got the doctor to refer me to a neurologist. When your brain can't think of words for brain doctor, just referred me to the neurologist. I went to the neurologist. For all of you out there that have had really horrible experiences with your doctors, be it mental health professionals or just regular doctors, I just want you to know that I see you this week, because my doctor, we'll start with my doctor. This is all in the last couple weeks. My doctor straight out said, well, what do you want me to do? Your job? I mean, I'm coming to you with a physical ailment that is really inhibiting me to live my life. It's creating mental health challenges. It's creating physical health challenges, and I need your help figuring out what's wrong. And she just said, well, I don't know what to do for you. She'd referred me to the neurologist. When the neurologist didn't work, she said, I don't know what to do for you. We ran tests, not thyroid, anything like that. So it was just straight out, I don't know what to do for you. The neurologist looked at my papers and said, oh, well, you have anxiety. You have a history of anxiety, so we're not going to run any other tests. Excuse me, sir? And the thing that frustrates me the most about this is I've already talked to several mental health professionals that have told me you have a really robust skill set for dealing with stress and anxiety, but I don't know what else to tell you. We don't know what else to suggest to you because you already know the skills that we would teach to deal with this. You're already doing all the sleep hygiene practices. So if we can't help you, you have to go to a doctor. I said, well, I've been to the doctors and they don't want to do anything. So I'm not going to lie, after the neurologist, I just broke down sobbing. I sobbed and sobbed in the office, on the way home, when I got home. I just sobbed and sobbed and sobbed because it's getting to the point where it's massively impeding my life. And I've had this happen before. I've had anxiety that has caused insomnia before. And I've been able to utilize skills to get through that. It was hard, especially because I was still building my toolbox at the time. But when it was caused by anxiety, it was okay. I need a more relaxing bedtime routine. If I wake up or I can't go to sleep, I need to meditate. I need to do breathing exercises. I need something to ground me, like a stone, or I have meditation beats, something like that. I need to have better sleep hygiene. I need to have some kind of visualization that can help me. I know those things. And none of those things are helping. And I cannot take sleep medications. I tried melatonin. I tried a lot of supplements. None of them worked. I tried psilocybin, that didn't work. And I just honestly feel like I'm going nuts. I feel like I'm losing it. And there are many days where I just can't function. Today was honestly one of those days. Aaron and I went to the store and we got in the car and he said, it's almost like you're drunk. He's not wrong. I'm getting to the point. I know that we have the saying, I can't see straight. I physically can't see straight right now. That's where I'm at. And I don't know who else to talk to because at this point I went through like a dozen professionals and none of them have anything to offer. It's very discouraging. It's very scary. And I know that there's other people in here and talk about this because I know that there's other people in here who have faced similar situations where they feel like the professionals they're turning to pretty much fail them. That's where I'm feeling like right now. I feel like I am having this issue. I don't know what's causing it. And I feel like people are trying to tell me, like the neurologist is trying to tell me, well, it's the anxiety causing the insomnia. No, it's the insomnia causing anxiety. Because I'm having insomnia, it's causing anxiety and depression symptoms. It's not that I'm depressed and I'm not sleeping. It's that I'm not sleeping, and that's causing me to feel incredibly anxious and depressed. Like, do you understand that this was a torture method throughout history? So that is where I'm at. I'm struggling really hard. That's why there's been less content on the channel, because I honestly just don't have the hearts. In Zelda terms, I don't have the hearts. My heart is beeping. I'm down to half a heart and it's beeping. Or if you want to talk in more, not modern, but I'll say modern because I can't think of words right now. More modern terms, like I don't have any spoons. I just wake up. Well, I don't wake up most of the time because I've been laying there for a while, but I get up. I just have no spoons. And I'm doing everything in the world to try to fill my bucket, to try to give myself more spoons. No matter what I do, I'm not sleeping. So still working on it, but insomnia will make your life a living hell. It's like torture. It really is. It's mental torture. It's not like torture. It is mental torture. And like I said, I've had it many times in the past when it's triggered by anxiety or maybe grief or a situation like that. And I figured out ways to work through it, but nothing's working this time. And it's really freaking me out. So I just need to be transparent about that. If it seems like I'm making less content, that's why, is I don't have the energy and I'm really trying to focus on figuring this out. I just don't know where else to go. I don't know what my next move is or what to try from here. Okay, let's see. Had a lot of Aaron says, kind of getting bad is the biggest understatement ever in reference to your insomnia. Yeah, it's a critical point. I guess I was trying to candy coat it a little bit. It's critical. I have never had insomnia as bad in my life. I'm sleeping maybe an hour or two a night, and there's nights where I don't sleep at all. And it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. And it's not before, I hope I don't read this comment. I hope that this is not over here. I hope nobody said this. It is not me having too much on my plate. As a matter of fact, you know what? This is the snaps I'm going to give myself. I'm going to share this as a snaps because it's very hard for me to do. So this is my win for the week, was I wound up in this physiological psychology class. So it's basically a neuro class, right? And this class was taking 35 hours a week for one class. Now, keep in mind, I'm not going to Harvard. I'm not going to Princeton. I'm going to ASU. And I tried to talk to the teacher. I tried to talk to a tutor. And it's not like the material itself was hard. I'm a reasonably intellectual person. I can learn hard things. I taught myself a different language. I ended up going into a statistics class last fall. I had not been in a freaking math class in over 20 years. I didn't even remember PEMDAS, okay? And I had to binge teach myself the basics just to catch up so I could be in the class. And I had to do tutoring, and I had to really put in the work. I'm willing to put in the work, and I can pick up hard concepts, okay? But this class was just outrageous. She's pretty much just, here's everything about the brain, now memorize it all. What? What? It was over 100 pages of really definition, data heavy reading on top of about 150 pages of PowerPoint slides and stuff, on top of stuff that she talked about in class. And there was no real direction on what parts of it we needed to remember. And I'm going, nobody can remember several hundred definitions every single week on top of all the concepts and stuff that aren't just definitions, but the concepts. And so it's been a process, but I ended up talking to my advisor, and I said, I can't be in this class. And I actually talked, when I was talking to one of the doctors about the insomnia stuff, the health stuff going on, I was there and we kind of got to chatting a little bit, and I explained this class and the requirements for it to the doctor, and the doctor said, I went to med school and I can tell you that's an unrealistic expectation for a class. There weren't even classes in med school that had expectations like that. So I felt a lot better. But I talked to my advisor. I said, I need to get the hell out of this class. This is insane. It's not feasible, and it's going to destroy my GPA. And I went in to rate my tutor, and I was looking at other people and their feedback, and they all said the same thing. There were people putting in as much as 60 hours a week on one class. And this is a 300 level class. So you have the 101 classes, you have the 100 level, the 200 level, the 300 level. It goes up to, I think, 500. So this is like a mid-level class. It's not like this is the last class of your master's degree or something. But I dropped it. I had to drop this class. I got another class. Fortunately, they signed me an override so I can get into another class in B session to still graduate. I was going to put it off. I was at the point where I've been very adamant about I'm going to graduate in fall. And I was at the point where it's, okay, where I'm at right now, that goal might have to change. And that's okay. That's okay if your goal has to change. That's okay if sometimes you say, you know what? Things are getting a little rough right now. I might have to shift some things around. It doesn't mean I'm giving up on that goal. It just means that I might have to shift it. I was at the point where I was willing to shift it. But fortunately, they were able to work with me, and I was able to get out of the class in a way that still allows me to graduate this semester. But I bring that up to say that sometimes it's okay to say, this isn't going to work for me. This is not acceptable. This is going to cause me way more stress than it's worth. And again, I know that I can learn the content. I actually already knew a fair chunk of the content. So I know that it's not, I'm too stupid. I know that my shadow did try to kick up and start saying stuff like that at first, but for the most part, I'm able to really combat that. I felt disappointed in myself at first, but then I said, but you're still making a healthy decision for yourself. It might not be what you want, and you might feel a little disappointed in yourself, but look how far you've come. Like, you're a 4.0 student. You made honors. You got a scholarship for your grades. It's like you're doing so well just because this one sadist teacher decides to put so much on you that's a full-time job, guys. That's almost a full-time job for one class, and I'm in 3 at a time because I have 2 full semester classes, and then I have a half semester class. I did have, I would have had the 2 full and then 2 halves, but now I have 3 halves. So I have 1 full and 3 halves. Yeah. So I will still graduate, but I'm sorry. I'm completely getting lost on the messages. Like I said, that's why the super chat and super sticker function exists. Actually forgot we need to do our goal. So I have a goal of raising 250 in pledges so that we can do more outreach week to week. I'm not going to lie. I have not had the energy to do anything in the last couple of weeks. So we need this, and we'll be able to do something bigger for someone because we'll have a little bit more to work with. I'm going to look into the comments a little bit here, just kind of skim over some of them. Joanne Sephiroth says, this year's been crap for me. I lost my job of 6 years in June. Family member has stage 4 lung cancer, almost took my own life in April. I was saved by a friend who made me promise I'd call the crisis team. I'm really glad that your friend was there for you. That sounds like a lot happening all at once. And when things start stacking, it can be really hard because we can't process one before something else hits us. the mental health professional I was trying to work through some trauma within the last year, because my last year was like this. And the mental health professional I was talking to said, we can't work on your trauma until traumatic things stop happening to you for a bit. Because if these new traumatic things keep opening up, we can't work on that. So trying to find some level of peace was the goal, and trying to find some level of closure, and trying to find whatever level of control in the situations and stuff. Obviously, none of these, you don't have any control over any of these, but trying to step away from things that can cause more stress and everything, just to hold space for ourselves during these really hard transitional times. Oh gosh, Spooky says that's how it is with my doctor. When I told her I needed a new psych med, she ran me to get a job. Oh gosh, the medication thing. I remember back in the day when I was a teenager, and I would try to tell my mental health professionals, I can't take this medication. They guinea pigged me on so many different antidepressants, anti-anxiety meds. And I would say, I can't take this medication because it causes me to hallucinate, and it causes me to dissociate, and I can't breathe, and I'm having heart palpitations, and all these different things. I can't do this. And they would say, well, you just need to give it more time. Did you not hear me just say that I'm hallucinating, and I can't breathe, and I can't sleep, and I can't function? And it was just ridiculous. I never felt hurt. That's how I have had great doctors. I've had great mental health professionals. Sometimes you really just have to shop for one. It can be really hard if you're on specific insurance. It doesn't allow for that. I'm still trying, and sometimes we have to switch doctors. Sometimes we have to advocate for ourselves. Sometimes we have to look into other avenues, but it's so frustrating. Greg says, the best therapy I got was when I got a dog. Amen, Wendy. Is some pretty good therapy for me too. T. Montgomery says, so you're saying you're taking time offline to take care of yourself? How is that bad? I'm not necessarily taking time offline. I'm just kind of stepping back a little bit. So I'm doing a little bit less. Spooky says, try listening to ASMR. It helps me sleep. I've tried to listen to all kinds of white noise stuff, and it honestly just sounds creepy to me. I don't know if this is my own mental health processes going on in my head, but if I can listen to rain, or I can listen to just piano music or something like that, violin music, that can be helpful. But ASMR makes me freak out. It's like nails on a chalkboard to me. I can't listen to repetitive sounds like that. It really freaks me out. David says, I always hated when professors would forget that students had other classes equally important, or, physiological needs to eat, go to the bathroom, sleep, breathe. I just feel like I understand that college is like a job, but I feel like a reasonable amount of expectation for each class is about 10 hours, because full-time school is 4 classes, or it's technically, I think, 12 credit hours, but most time the classes are 3 credit hours each. So it's about 4 classes. So we'll just say about 4 classes is considered full-time school here, right? And a full-time job is 40 hours. So I would expect each class to be about 10 hours each of lecture time, of homework, of studying. I think 10 hours is perfectly reasonable for a class. Because imagine if every class was 30 hours. Now you're looking at 120 hours a week in classwork. What if you have 4 classes? David has a really good point. He says, remember, doctors are tools we use to assist our life and health, but we are the ones who have to drive our own bus. That's absolutely true. And I love that you use the bus analogy because it's Bryston's thing that he uses instead of a shadow. He says bus driver. And it's really true. It is another tool in the toolbox. And I feel like I've just been throwing everything at the wall right now. I will try anything. And I've been trying just thing after thing after thing, trying to find something that works, whether it's taking more time off, just doing more relaxing stuff. I don't drink caffeine. I haven't been drinking alcohol in months. I don't eat right before bed. I have blackout curtains in my room. I keep my house really cold at night. All that fun sleep hygiene stuff that usually works, especially if it's anxiety based, isn't working. Oh my gosh. David says, admit it, if you taught an in-sync class, you'd give us 90 hours of work. Maybe, but it would be fun work. Actually, speaking of which, one of the enjoyable things I did this week for myself, I can't show you, dang it. I can't pull it apart. I can't pull my camera out. So I had an old NSYNC puzzle that I pulled out, and the other day I literally just sat on my floor and spent 2 hours, no phone, no distraction, nothing, just spent 2 hours putting together this puzzle, and it was excellent. It was excellent. Specky says, stupid question, have you tried NyQuil? So NyQuil falls right up there with other sleeping medications, because I tried Seroquel and some other prescription ones, and then I tried NyQuil, I tried even melatonin. It's just like the anti-anxiety antidepressants. My brain goes nope and rejects it, and I'll have very, very adverse reactions. Okay, so I just realized we're halfway through. We haven't started getting our pledges yet. We got to get our pledges toward our goal, but I want to read the good news story. This might be a bit controversial, and I apologize, but I'll explain why I think it's a good news story and why I am really excited about it. Just please know that wherever you're at in your journey, I understand we're not all in the same place, but let's work on holding space for each other and understanding, seeing value in something we may or may not agree with. Let's see if we can get our pledges up so we can do some other big thing this week. I kind of need it. I'm not going to lie. I need to go out and help people. It helps me. That's what I love about the community. So the good news story of the week is ban on junk food TV adverts before 9 p.m. to come in next year. So this is in England right now. This is in the UK. A ban on junk food adverts being shown on TV before 2100 hours, which is, they said 9 o'clock. So 9 o'clock will come into force on October 1st, 2025. The government has confirmed. Labour said the watershed on junk food advertising would be enforced alongside a total ban on paid for online adverts, both aimed at tackling childhood obesity. So the reason that they're cutting it off at 9, or that they're only allowing it after 9, is so they're not marketing to children. An interesting thing, there have been several of the higher executives in the food industry companies that have said, we know that marketing toward children is unethical, but it's where the money is at. And this is in the food industry. Labour said the watershed on junk food advertising will be enforced alongside the Conservatives had previously committed to the ban in 2021 when Boris Johnson was Prime Minister, but it was pushed back to give the industry more time to prepare. Health Minister Andrew Gwynn said confirming the scope of restrictions and the date they would be implemented provided clarity for businesses. Gwynn said the government wanted to tackle the problem head on and without further delay. These restrictions will help protect children from being exposed to advertising of less healthy foods and drinks, which evidence shows influences their dietary preferences from a young age. Another reason that kids should not be watching TV at a super young age anyway, but he said in his written statement to the Commons on Thursday. The pre-watershed ban was a pledge in Labour's manifesto during this year's general election campaign. The party also made a manifesto pledge to ban under 16s from buying high caffeine energy drinks. These are things that we don't realize really affects mental health, like energy drinks, junk food, soda, lots of sugar. These things have a massive negative impact on mental health, and getting children addicted to them at a young age is not going to serve them in their life at all, physically or mentally. So childhood obesity aside, this is also really problematic for, mental health and stuff. So I think that this is a win-win, and I really hope that we follow suit. The Royal Society for Public Health, the RSPH, which works to reduce childhood obesity, called the advertising ban a welcome step. Simon Dixon, head of policy and public affairs at the RSPH, told the BBC that childhood nutrition is a long-term priority that is key to building a healthier future for the next generation. The government has now published its response to a 2022 consultation on draft measures for the ban, confirming definitions for the products, businesses, and services covered by the restrictions. Under the proposals, there's a two-stage approach for defining a product that is considered less healthy for the purposes of the restrictions. This was originally referred to as products high in fat, salt, or sugar, HFSS. In response to the 2022 consultation, the government said it recognized the need for greater clarity on the scope of the restrictions. It said further guidance will be provided to explain product categories with clear examples of which food and drink items fall within each category. And I think the other awesome thing about this is I know a lot of people will complain that if you say you can't feed your kids this, they're going to say, well, it's my right as a parent to be able to do whatever I want. It's my right to be able to feed my kids what I want, which I always say, well, I mean, technically speaking, it's your right to starve your kids too, but there's consequences for these things. But this specifically is guiding the children away from it without restricting the parents, without saying, you know what, you can't do this. We're just going to stop promoting it. And I think this will be a really positive step in the right direction. So I'm totally interested in what you guys think. Oh, we just got a pledge. Aw, doing so much good. We just got a $75 pledge. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That kicked us off. Took us a little bit, but that kicked us off. David says that I hate how it's more expensive to eat healthy. I think that you can eat healthy on the cheap. It just takes more planning. And it's really frustrating that it takes so much more planning, that the cheap and easy options are much more readily available. And what bothers me is if you say this food is unhealthy, well, now you're fat phobic and you're shaming and you're creating eating disorders. And I'm going, but eating nothing but junk food, eating a diet that's high in sugars and stuff is going to have a negative impact on your physical and mental health. Diets that are high in fat and sugar and salt and stuff are going to have negative impacts on your health. That's science. That's science, yo. But it's very important that we don't demonize these foods. I like that they're saying junk food more than bad food or things like that, because I feel like putting the ethical labels on it can very much affect people who are struggling with eating disorders or disordered eating. But I think that just saying junk food or unhealthy food, I know that my little video that I made over on the shorts, I actually got a lot of private messages over that, and I thought I'd get more nasty comments about it. But the short I made where people are saying you can't call it unhealthy food. What else am I supposed to call cake? I'm not saying that you're a bad person for eating it, that you can't indulge in it sometimes, but it's not healthy. It's not good for you. I'm going to call a duck, you know? David says, sadly, healthy food costs more to produce and we put profit first. I don't even think it's that healthy food necessarily costs more to produce. I don't think that there is profit in healthy foods. I don't think that there's profit in spinach, as much as there's profit in these quick, ready to make meals, like the frozen meals and stuff. There's more profit in that because you're getting less. There's more filler. It's basically just Frankenfood. And I feel like that's where the real profit is for the food industry. Ariane says, I honestly don't get it. It seems like you got your whole life put together and organized. Bless your heart. I am so happy that it looks that way. And you're pursuing something in your life. I'm depressed because my life's messed up. that'd be natural. But oh, my darling, as I just described, I'm getting an hour or two of sleep at night, so I do not have everything figured out. My life is not pulled together. I do have a very robust toolbox. Like, I built a really strong toolbox, but when certain things happen, they just knock us out. They just really make it difficult to be able to get our footing, not get a grip, to get our footing, you know? I do lay everything out. I just realized that video hasn't released yet. So I did create a 28 days of mental healing challenge that you can download for free on my website, amandawebsterhealth.com. I also have a stop doom scrolling PDF workbook that you can download if you feel like your screen time is getting out of control, you feel like you're negatively impacted by constantly being on a screen, having that FOMO, having those comparison traps that we're always falling into. I just wanted to help, once I get this insomnia under control, make a workbook for that too. But I do want to offer as much guidance as I can, and just talk about the things that did help me get to that point and helped me build that toolbox. So feel free to go download that, like I said, amandawebsterhealth.com. And that will give you, hopefully, some tools for your toolbox and some practical steps that you can take right now. The 28 Days of Mental Healing goes over my 5 puzzle pieces of happiness and gives you some practical steps in each category that you can do to improve your mental health and hopefully move things in the right direction. Chris says, do you have PayPal? Yes, it's in the descriptions of my streams here. So if you go to one of the older streams, but it's pixieyogi@yahoo.com here. I will type that in here. And I do have that open for anybody that wants to make pledges. Oh, I guess I read that too late. You already did. Oh, so I hope that your sleeping cycle gets better, and hopefully everything continues to go well for you, and hopefully this helps you help someone else. Oh, you are using my own phrase on me. Thank you so much. So 75 and 75, and my brain's just so shot that I actually had to stop and think that's 150, right? 150, yeah. That's where my brain's at. T. Montgomery says, I'm sorry, but you can't eat healthy on the cheap at all. Rice is really cheap. Staples are really cheap. You can get oatmeal, you can get rice, you can get beans, lentils, all of those things. So you can get, some of your carbs, you can get your protein, vegetables. Fruits and vegetables here, we can get fruits and vegetables at the dollar store. I mean, obviously it's fairly limited, but some of our dollar stores do have produce sections. So it's possible. It's a little, well, I was going to say it's a little harder to get balanced, but no, it's not, because if you're eating junk food, you're not getting really balanced at all, because there's not a lot of nutritional value in that. You just have to pay more attention to the staples and what's going to go further. But a lot of the people I know that are low income, I always say, get some brown rice, get some lentils, get a couple of staple spices, and then just choose, the vegetables that you want. You can get peanut butter. So do oatmeal and peanut butter. That's really cheap. Things like that. So it is possible. It might be a little challenging if you're not used to it. Would it be helpful? I thought about doing that, about making a PDF that's kind of how to eat healthy on a budget. Would that be helpful for you guys? Because I can totally do a PDF, not right now, but within the next couple months, I could do a PDF that's how to eat healthy on a budget, if that's something that would help you guys. Or I can do a video on it. 29 Sephiroth says, lack of sleep is massive for mental health. My therapist keeps telling me that you're doing your best, Amanda. That's all you can do. It really is. I'm trying to keep up with school, keep up with the content. I've been really bonding with B lately, with Bryston, my son. He has a little scooter. He has a little electric scooter. And I've been using it when I go to school, because parking at ASU is such a joke. So it's notorious that the parking spots you're supposed to pay, I'm not kidding you, $400 to $900 a semester aren't even close to the school anyway, so you'd still end up having to take an Uber or walk or something. So I found kind of sketchy places to park, where I will park and then drive my scooter, which is frowned upon, but not illegal or anything. But I've been riding his scooter. He let me use his scooter for school. But in the mornings, now that it's cooling down, we decided to start riding the scooter together. So I'll drive and he'll stand behind me. And it's just been such an amazing bonding experience. I really enjoyed that. Actually, yeah. Nathan was saying I mainly just eat fish and noodles. I'm vegan. I'm actually highly allergic to fish. But you were talking about noodles. Well, ramen noodles themselves, like if you get the ramen noodles and you put the little packet in there and you prepare them as they are, that's not super healthy. But if you just buy packs of ramen noodles and you don't use the packet of seasoning that comes with it and you season it on your own, I mean, it's not the best option in the world, but you can make a fairly healthy meal with ramen noodles and some vegetables and protein. Chris says, laugh out loud, when I typed that message, it didn't even occur to me that I typed your catchphrase. Sorry about that. No, we all have to scream it from the rooftops. Oh gosh. Ryan says, if all else fails, Amanda, you can listen to a preacher. People always fall asleep in church. I would not, because religion makes me rage. I'm just gonna put it out there. I'm just gonna say it. Religion makes me very angry, so I would sleep less, actually. David says, we need an Amanda and B on the scooter video. Aaron, you have to take a video of me and Bryson on the scooter. And he says, I do guided meditation every night before sleeping. It helps. Burning an incense is awesome too. Love my dragon's blood. Oh, dragon's blood is the best incense. Love that. So I do listen to a meditation, and that usually, actually this last week, I haven't been falling asleep. Usually I'll fall asleep, sleep for about an hour, and then I can't go back to sleep. Sometimes I'll fall asleep for another hour later in the night. I do try to get up and go read or do something else relaxing, so I'm not just laying in bed stressing out and freaking out. But the meditation sometimes helps me fall asleep. But then if I do that same thing in the middle of the night, it doesn't help. So it's very weird. David says, play the Murder, She Wrote music while on the scooter. Yes. Oh my gosh, it is 16 minutes to the end, and I still need to do snaps. I'm going to use this picture of Bryson to hold up our goal here as I do snaps. So for anybody that is new, I just realized that you probably can't see that because it's very light, but so far we have 150. So we have another 100 to get to our goal, and we have 15 minutes to get there. So for those of you that are new, this is the Snap Cup inspired by Legally Blonde 2. I ask everybody to just share their mental health wins over on a community post a couple days before the stream so that we can read them here in stream, and just share some warm fuzzies, share some positive energy with each other. But it comes with a song, so Snap Cup time, gather ye round, friends and foes together, united and bound. Pass it to your neighbor instead of blowing up, and you'll find harmony, love, and a snap cup. See, I have to make other sound effects because my snapping's still lacking. I know this is a really weird win, and I'm such a girl for this, but this is the longest my nails have naturally been in so long, and I'm so proud that I've been able to grow them back, but they're also inhibiting my ability to snap loudly. Thank you, Marcus and Aaron. I'm just going to put that as 10. I'm going to put that together and put it as 10. Because it will really help me having to do math. Because my brain hurts. My brain physically hurts. I didn't know it was possible. My brain physically hurts. All right. Oh my gosh, so long. This is the first one. So long. Tony says, I've had very enjoyable weekends with Colin since our last live stream. Love that. So that's a huge win for me. I don't know if I would classify this as a win, more of an honor. Chad's mother called me on Labor Day and told me that she found his dog tags, and because of my daily talks with him, my efforts to keep him alive really was just being a brother, and because of my daily follow-ups with her to let her know what is the biggest concern to watch for every day, she told me that she was sending me the dog tags to wear because she knew that I would not let his legacy die. That's beautiful. I love and miss that man every day. A third win, I follow another channel. You're cheating on me. You're cheating on me, Tony. You just admitted to having a YouTube affair. Okay. You're following another channel in addition to this one that is for a different purpose than this. Okay, I think I might be able to forgive you. But he recently reacted to one more light. Oh, God. And he asked me to put together a video of my experiences with suicide and mental illness and for awareness page. So I did just that. It made me feel really good, as maybe it will reach and help someone. Spoke of not just my attempt, but also my brothers, the brothers that he's lost, his brothers in arms. Details were not included, mainly because I did not want to trigger anyone. So that's several big wins. Tony, thank you for sharing those with us. And yes, that does count as a win that you were able to honor him, and that Chad's mother, so Chad was one of his brothers in arms that he lost, but Chad's mother asking you to honor him. I mean, obviously she knows how close you guys were, how much you meant to him, what a positive influence you were in his life. So absolutely, that's a win to hold on to. So I'm very happy for you that you're experiencing so many wins, and that hopefully the struggles that you're talking about past weeks are starting to work themselves out. I'm happy that you're getting to spend more time with Colin. I know that that's important. And 2 weeks in a row, that's huge. 29 Sephiroth says, one more light, Jimmy Kimmel live version. Holy cow. That version made me cry so hard. Chester's voice literally cracks. And I don't think it's coincidence that he had glasses on during that performance. Thank you so much, Marcus. Marcus is glad to see you live again. You always make my day better. You rock. Aw, thank you. But I don't think Chester was making a fashion statement with those glasses. But yeah, that was a very emotional performance. 29 Sephiroth says, I'm going to come back to that. 29 Sephiroth. Ashley Carper, are you still in here? Says, I allowed myself to call off work to take a mental health day and just stayed in bed to cry and sleep. Snaps to you. Sometimes we just need that day to process. We need time to rest, and we don't give ourselves enough of that. I actually took a day this last week to just kind of do some relaxing stuff. I went and did a float at a float spa. I played an old school game that I hadn't played in a long time. I just did some writing and some reading and tried to really relax, put on some essential oils, put on some relaxing music, and just chill. So sometimes we need that, and cried a lot. Yeah. I didn't sleep, but I cried a lot. So I definitely need one of those days too. Sometimes we just do. Sometimes we just have to take the day to lose our mind or to do things to rest. I know that we all want to talk about this Lincoln Park situation, but let's not flame each other. I will make a statement on it after our wins if you guys would like, but I don't want to flame each other because I can see both sides and I understand. I do have a very strong opinion of my own, as does Chester's son, Jamie, but it is my feelings and it's part of my grieving process. So I can talk about it more here in a minute, but I just want to say, let's not blame each other in the comments if you guys are going in that direction of having that conversation. Brandon Lala says, hey man, I found your channel when I discovered Hiren. I almost successfully unalived myself on September 28th, 2021. I'm glad you're still here. I want to share my story with the world, but I'm not a good storyteller and have severe anxiety. My story is so unbelievable that I have a hard time telling it because I feel people would just think I'm crazy, which yes, I am, but my story is true. We're all a little crazy. I would love if you would help me through a platform, share my story with the world, because I know it will inspire hope, because if I can get out of the hole I was in, anyone can. There's hope and help. Absolutely there is. You're absolutely welcome to come into one of the live streams and share your story and allow people to ask questions and stuff. So I very much invite you to do that, and snaps to you for being able to speak out. And I don't even know that I am a good storyteller now, actually, but I know that there was a time where I always felt very, I felt a lot of imposter syndrome, and I still sometimes feel that, but I feel like I was always afraid that my stories didn't make sense or that they weren't good enough or that people were going to judge me for them. I still get that sometimes, but I'm better about it. But if you have a story and you can put it into words, that's all it takes to be a good storyteller, in my opinion, is to put it into words that people can understand so that they can hopefully connect with it. But big snaps to you. Raymond Maple says, today marks 731 days without a suicide attempt. After the passing of my 17-year-old son, I didn't think I would make it one day. We're never supposed to bury our children. And I remember my mom talking to me about how her 19-year-old, he was my half brother, was from her previous marriage, and He died the year I was born. So I think I was maybe 6 months old when he passed away. And he swerved to miss a drunk driver on his motorcycle and hit a tree with his best friend. And my mom said the same thing, that she never knew how she would make it. And I'm so happy that you made it 730 days longer than you thought you would. And I think this is important because for anybody that's dealing with that loss, we all feel that sense of hopelessness, especially in the beginning. We all have that sense of, I can't do this. I can't make this. Nobody understands. I can't do life without my loved one. But we do get to a point where we figure out, okay, you know what? They're not here, but now I can share their energy with the world. So sometimes that's what's kept me alive, is thinking, you know what? I feel like I want to share my parents' love and energy and wisdom with the world. And if I die, then that dies with me. And that's a very hard thing for me to wrap my head around or accept. So that's something that's kept me going during the difficult times. But if you lose someone, whether by death or divorce, it's completely normal to think that you can't live without that person. But coming from the other side of Raymond here, of myself, there's so many of us that felt that exact same way. We get it, but you can live. It just takes time to find that new life, because you're never going to be the same person. You're never going to have the same life. You're never going to live the same way. But finding that new path takes some time, and taking time for yourself is really important. But big snaps to you for 731 days. Whew. Charles Berger says, my wife's cousin died not too long ago. Even though I was not feeling good, I consoled her and let her cry on my shoulder. Well, thank you for doing that for her, and snaps for being able to be comforting to someone, to be able to console someone in that way. It feels really good, when we can feel useful and we can feel connected to someone in that way, when we feel like we can be there for them and really help them through something difficult. And hopefully she's that for you as well, that your wife is that for you as well. If you have loss or you have grief or you're struggling, that she can be that for you as well, because the happy, healthy relationship goes both ways. My, we have a lot of snaps today. Did I give snaps? I can't remember 2 seconds ago. I feel like Insomnia gives you the memory span of a goldfish, because I feel like I have no idea what I said 10 seconds ago. So here's to hoping that I haven't said anything crazy. Jake Smith says, I've been following the WNBA this season and found myself actually enjoying it. My favorite team is the Indiana Fever because reasons, Caitlin Clark, and I hope to share this with Kim. Snaps to you for finding something that you enjoy and for indulging in that, engaging in that, and having something to be excited about. It's really funny because Erin and I were just talking a couple of hours ago about, I wonder how many men watch the WNBA and how many women watch the NBA. I wonder what the statistics on that are. So I thank you for contributing to the conversation we were having. Oh, thank you very much, David. David donated another 20. I think we're getting fairly close to our goal. We haven't hit it yet, but I think we're getting fairly close. David says, losing someone is painful and challenging. To move forward is one of the hardest things, but it is the best way we can keep the memory alive. I don't fear leaving. I fear being forgotten. Absolutely, yeah. My gosh, what's the name of the movie, the kids movie, where their spirits are alive as long as they're not forgotten? Gosh, what is the name of that movie? I watched it with Bryce when he was younger. Somebody let me know what the name of this movie is. Have a good week, Tony. I'll talk to you soon. That's going to bug me now. Hopefully someone can answer this. Otherwise, it's going to be another thing I'm thinking about at 2 a.m. But that's what I thought about. Andy says, listen to me. Over the last 2 years, my aunt was killed walking across a highway. My grandma died on Thanksgiving Day, 2022. And this past January, my grandfather passed. My mom is battling cancer. Everyone keep your head up. Life is amazing. I'm so happy that you can feel, that you can still feel the amazing part of it, that you can still feel the joy, that you can still connect to life and not feel like you're just surviving despite all of these hardships and stuff. Thank you for sharing that with us, so we can see that it is possible to feel that even when we're experiencing so much loss and so much pain. Dan Danarchist? Danarchist, I love that. Danarchist. Danarchist says, I got really angry today. I imagined multiple scenarios that would have been bad for me and everyone else. I stepped back, remembered empathy, and realized I was being petty. My internal anger and pain are no one else's problem, and I'm dealing with them. Thank you for showing me some of the tools or internal dialogue that have helped me realize that. That feels so good that you have learned something here in the community, here on the channel, that has helped you deal with that. I didn't really get super angry until my teenage years, and it is something that I really struggled with in my adult life. And I realized I never got angry until my first big trauma, which was being sexually assaulted when I was 16. I did have a situation with a babysitter that neglected and abused me when I was really little. But my first memory, my first trauma that committed to memory was that. And after that was when I started acting out against my parents, when I started acting out against friends, when I started getting angry a lot, was after that. And the thing we have to remember is anger is not a primary emotion. It's a response to something else. So if we're feeling like we're not being heard, if we're feeling like we're not loved, if we're feeling these things, they can come out as anger. If we're feeling traumatized and we don't know how to deal with that, we can get angry as a defense mechanism. So it's great that you're finding ways to actually deal with that. And by deal with that, I hope you mean processing it and not just trying to suppress it. It's really important that we're processing our anger, whether that's punching a pillow, going for a run, journaling, talking to a therapist. There are many ways to deal with anger, just taking long, slow, deep breaths so we can get our parasympathetic nervous system back into control. It's very important that we are acknowledging anger is normal. It's natural. It's a human experience, and it's completely okay for us to feel anger as long as we are finding ways to process it in a way that does not hurt others or ourselves, or does as minimal damage as possible. Thank you, Chris. Chris just pledged another 20. I love that emoji. That's so cute. Is it a fox? A little fox hugging a trophy. That's precious. Thank you very much. We still have so many wins left. I love that you guys have so many wins. Did I give you snaps? I keep forgetting whether or not I snap, so some of you are just getting extra snaps. Johnny Carlson says, my advice is to start with an open goal, so to speak, if you're stuck. In my case as a salesman, I go to my most loyal customers and sell what I know they need and want before I go to the tough ones. Create your own success and don't be fooled. I'm considered as a successful salesman, but I really get stuck mentally sometimes. Snaps to you. It's interesting because I've talked to several people that are really successful by society's standards in their respective careers. So we're talking CEOs and stuff that still struggle mentally. And I think that sometimes that's because we go into sometimes workaholic mode, or we throw everything into our job and we don't allow ourselves to process. I know that when I'm really doing more, it can be an avoidance technique. It can be an avoidance style to not want to deal with things. So that actually makes total sense. What I think you're saying, so you're saying you kind of sell to the easier customers first. And I kind of like the thought of that, because sometimes when you're really struggling, the best thing to do is to check a couple of easy things off your to-do list so you can get that dopamine hit, so you can get the momentum of wins, you know? So I think that that's actually really good life advice outside of business. And I'm curious, you're saying that you get really mentally stuck. So can you apply that to the rest of your life? So can you apply that concept of, you know what, maybe I need to go to some of the easy stuff first? Or some people, I mean, it depends on my energy level. If I'm feeling a lot of energy, if my hearts are full, then I might flip that around and knock out the hard stuff first. I know some people have the personalities that that's what they always do. But sometimes if you're really feeling mentally stuck, it can be a good idea to just have something to check off. So snaps to you. 29 Sephiroth says, I think a win is taking my meds when I'm supposed to. Absolutely it is. Snaps for you. Val CSS or Valley CSS says, Finally picked up the courage to talk about trauma and a past suicide attempt publicly. This wasn't a cry for help because I kept it to myself for years, but now it's finally out there, even if I'm still a nobody. Nobody is a nobody. Everybody is somebody. And I like to think, well, if they say that nobody is perfect, then if you're a nobody, that means you're perfect. So even if you feel like a nobody, that means you're perfect, according to the saying. But snaps to you for being able to talk about it. Sometimes it does take time to open up. I think, if I remember correctly in my brain fog right now, I think it's 11 years is the average between the onset of depression symptoms and actually seeking help. And I aim to shorten that. I aim with my content and with my outreach and stuff to shorten that. But as of right now, last I heard, I'm pretty sure it's like 11 years. And sometimes it takes time, and that's okay. We do this on our own, in our own way, and when we're ready. So I'm happy that you were ready and that you were able to get some of that out here, and hopefully not only start healing, but maybe connect with some other people that can find value in that as well. So big snaps to you. Chris BJ, you still in here? So my wins for this week, let's see here. Oh, we have several. 1, my small business did pretty good this year financially. 2, referring to my previous one, my small business is a seasonal one, so it's winding down for the year. And with this being said, it gives me more time to focus on myself and get in some me time and do what I want to do. Number 3, my second job is still going good, and I am glad to have that job. So I still have income coming in off season. I know I've talked about this before in the comments about me having social anxiety and things like that, but I'm stepping outside of my comfort zone, yes, again, and going to a Warning concert here in Ohio on Wednesday with a couple of friends. Love that for you. I really feel sometimes like the only way we can combat these things is to face them, because things like being social, for a lot of people, that's a learned skill. Confidence, learned skill, self-esteem, I mean, that kind of falls into the confidence category. These are learned skills. They don't come naturally to everyone, and it's amazing that you're working on building that. I've been taking my meds like I'm supposed to, more snaps for that, and have been working on figuring out new segments for my YouTube channel. I know this is a lengthy one, but it has been a little bit since I've tuned into your live stream, so I was just giving you an update. Lots of snaps for you. I love all the good updates, all the good news here. A lot of good going on, and sounds like things are moving in the right direction, so I'm very happy for you. I love this for you. David's right. He says, my favorite quote is, life begins outside your comfort zone. Yeah, we really pigeonhole ourselves if we only do what we're comfortable doing. And I found that it's not just life. I've had my biggest growth moments. I've had my biggest adventures. I guess maybe that is life, like the growth and the adventure and stuff. I would have never had so many of my experiences and met so many people, like meeting someone off a YouTube channel, going to Albuquerque on a Breaking Bad tour with them. But there's so many awesome experiences that you can have once you work on these things. They have proven that the whole idea of being extroverted and introverted isn't actually a personality type. It's actually, I had read research on this before, but I was listening to a Dr. Mike podcast on my way to school a couple weeks ago, and it was really insightful into that, about how that's not just a fixed thing in our mind. We can absolutely work on that one way or another. So if you're introverted and that's okay and you're happy with that and you live a happy, fulfilling life, love that for you, great. But if you don't, then you can absolutely learn ways to be more comfortable on being more extroverted. So I really like that that's coming to light more and more. David says, what strange person meets up with an online stranger going on a road trip? I don't know. Nut jobs. Yikes on bikes. T. Montgomery says, about a month ago, I looked into the mirror, into the eyes of the child I once was, and forgave myself for not being strong enough to stop the essay, for giving in at times, for the things I did to survive as a child. This opened up a floodgate of healing. This past week was the first 9/11 that I can remember that I didn't lose it in over a decade, nor did I feel the absolute need to get blinding drunk on that day while thinking of the 2 friends I lost after we all went up to enlist and I got rejected. It's great to think of them again and laugh now. It's you're right, it is healing. It's so cathartic when we get to that point. after we lose someone where we can finally think of them and laugh again. That took me so long with my mom. It took me so long to think of her and not cry. So I completely understand that. But I love this for you. I love that you're finding healing from that time when you didn't have anyone to protect you. The people that were supposed to protect you weren't there for you, and you didn't know how to protect yourself because you weren't meant to know how to protect yourself because you were a child. But I think that it's never too late to go back and start healing that child. Like I said, I had a situation as a child where my babysitter locked me in the closet with some other kids, and I don't have conscious memories of it per se. I do have a couple flickers, but being able to say, you know what, I love you, and I will sit there in the closet with you now, and I'll hold space for you while you need to heal. If you need to cry, if you need to freak out, you're scared. Like this little girl, or in your case, this little boy, is scared. And once we can give them that reassurance and say, you know what, everyone in the world's not a monster. There are people in this world that are very, very sick, very, very disturbed. But when we can connect to ourselves and say, you know what, I didn't deserve this. This doesn't make me less worthy of love. This doesn't mean that I'm broken. This just means that I have to do some inner child work, and I'm very proud of you for doing that. Oh, we have two more. So, Warrior Poet. Well, I survived the week. I'm sorry I didn't have happier news to report, but that's the best news. Do you know how much I'd freak out if I heard the other news? So hearing that you're still here this week is excellent news to me. But this week has been nothing short of a train wreck almost the entire way through start to finish. And the chaos didn't come down until the end of the week. There's your win right there. End of the week, the chaos comes down. There's your win. I prefer not to list all the things that went wrong, and I'm even afraid I'll jinx things if I say too much and cause even more things to go wrong. I've had that feeling before. I don't know, at one point, I was getting to the point of just shutting down and not talking. Relatable. To anyone. I just hope the next hand of cards I'm dealt this next week are better. Wouldn't take much. I actually have a quote here. It's from Jigsaw or John Kramer on the Saw series, but it says, how you play the cards you're dealt is all that matters. So sometimes we might not have great cards, but figuring out how to play that hand, even if it's not the cards we want, even if it's not going to lead to the results we want, playing the best hand we can is really all we can do sometimes. But yeah, I understand. Like I said, my week was kind of blah, blah, blah also. So I understand that need to just sometimes not talk to anyone and go within ourselves, and hopefully be able to get through some of that. When things get really heavy, it's okay to say, you know what, I'm exhausted and this is too much, and I'm going to go hibernate and I'm going to go take a nap. Apparently I'm losing my voice. Big snaps to you, though. I'm glad you're still here, and I'm glad that things at least did calm down at the end of the week. I can't get this last snap out. Can't get the last line out. Okay. Octanium says, started my treatment at a program. Recovery is going great and eating normally, still fighting the demons, but I'm sure I will get through it. You absolutely will. I believe in you. I think everyone here in the community can send you that energy. We all believe in you, and we all know that you can do this. Just remember that the road to recovery can be really windy. It can be really bumpy, but once you are on that road for a while and you get used to it, it does get easier. The time in the beginning is when you really feel like, I can't do this. I'm not sure if I can do it, because you haven't proved to yourself yet that you can. But once you get so far in, you see, oh, I can do this. It's not pleasant, but I can do it. So just putting that time between giving up whatever it is you're giving up or moving through. It sounds like you said eating normally, so it sounds like this is a disordered eating situation. So once you put time between that disorder, that behavior, that habit, and being able to see what you are capable of, once you show yourself what you're capable of, it can really go a long way in fighting the demons, because then you have more arsenal to fight the demons, to fight the shadow with. Oh, I love it. Indy says, I've always got an ace in the hole. I will win this hand. Oh my gosh, that reminds me of my dad. You got to have an ace in the hole. A secret nobody knows. That's a good song. Who sang that song? Was that King Rogers? I loved that song growing up. Alrighty, let's see. So we have 50. Oh my gosh, we're so close, right? I did that right. 20, 40, 55. So 5. So we're at 205. So we're 45 short of our goal. We're almost there. We're very close. I'll stand for a couple more minutes, but I think dinner is almost ready, so I can't stand too much longer. I smell it. I smell it right now. It smells very good. But we're at 205. Our goal's 250. So let's see if we can hit it before we jump off here. Yes, Marcus says yes, The Gambler by Kenny Rogers. My mom, fun fact, my mom actually went on a date with Kenny Rogers, and she said that he would only play his own music on the jukebox, and she walked out. So that is an interesting story. Okay, so George Strait, I think that it was originally Kenny Rogers, and then George Strait covered it, if I remember, because I remember having the Kenny Rogers version. So yeah. Ooh. Whoa, that's really creepy. I didn't realize. I don't think you can really see that is a Billy. It just looks like a super creep. I can't get my finger over there. It just looks like this super creepy kind of clown face on my backpack next to the little pink poof ball. It's actually a Billy from Saw, but it just looks like this creepy face, and all I see is the black eyes staring at me. So I'm gonna give a second win because this meant so much to me. I've been waiting for so long for Bryson to be ready to watch his first actual horror movie. So he saw FNAF, but I didn't consider that really a horror movie. So I've been waiting for him to be ready to watch his first horror movie. And this week on Friday the 13th, he was finally ready, and we watched Scream together. And it was such a cool experience because Scream is one of my favorite horror movies. I love how meta it is. I love that it was just such a game changer for the genre. So we watched Scream together, and I won't spoil for anybody that hasn't seen it, but he was so blown away by the twist ending, and then to realize that there was a connection between FNAF and Scream in this weird abstract way. He was just, oh my gosh, he had pretty much the same reaction I did about the twist ending. That it was one of those real intense bonding moments. I was so happy. I've been really enjoying bonding with him lately, and that was so special getting to, we finally got to have a horror movie together. We did watch a kill count together. We watched the kill count for FNAF, which was really cool, and Matt Pat made an appearance in that, so he was really excited because Matt Pat had a cameo in FNAF, but we were really excited that he made an appearance in the kill count. So Bryson has had his very first kill count over on Dead Meat. That was also a proud mama moment, but it was so awesome. It was so awesome to finally have that. I was waiting for that specifically, so to watch Scream with him for the first time for quite some time, but I wasn't going to rush him. If you're not ready, that's fine. And I was very understanding afterwards of, do you need to talk? If you need to keep the light on, that's totally fine. If you need to come talk to me for whatever reason, or you get freaked out, that's totally fine. Like, you don't have to be ashamed of that. I'm a full-grown adult, and there have been movies that have made me sleep with the lights on. So, okay. Let me check one more time, make sure we didn't get any pledges. A couple junk mail things, but okay, no more pledges there. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Nathan. So we're 25 short. 25 short! 25! Right? No, right? Yeah. Oh my gosh. Seriously, I can't do the most basic of math right now. They expect me to do neurobiology. Thank you. Nathan says A Nightmare on Elm Street is the best horror movie. Aaron, my boyfriend, actually, I just made him watch Nightmare for the first time not too long ago. I think the original one is really good. I had seen it quite a few times. That scene with Johnny Depp, it took me, I think, till about the third time I watched that movie to realize that was Johnny Depp, but where Johnny Depp gets sucked into the bed and it just spews blood everywhere. That is an awesome kill. That's a great kill. It's actually probably my favorite movie kills, especially old school, because the effects back then were practical, so that makes it all the more awesome. Holy gosh! Oh my gosh, Chris, thank you! Nick jumped in last minute. Nick, you just jumped in to save the day last minute. So we actually made 350. So we actually made 100 over the goal, right? Yes. I can do basic math. I'm not crazy. Oh, thank you guys. Thank you, Chris. Mwah. Nick, were you just sitting here lurking in the shadows this whole time? Were you just lurking? Talk about creepy horror movies. But yeah, the original Nightmare was really good. I did not enjoy the remake. Oh, I did promise you guys that I'd bring up. Aaron says, I think Saw 1 might be my favorite. Saw 1 is like one of the best movies ever. Saw 10 was really good too. Saw 10 is my favorite in the franchise, I think, just because it has such a heavy emotional story, but still has some really great kills to it. Saw 1, though, again, shifted the genre, so I do think that there's a lot to that. I did promise you guys real fast that I would address the Linkin Park thing, but I think there's one more thing I wanted to say. Nick just got here. You're late. You left us. What was I gonna say? I just didn't really like the subsequent nightmares. I thought the one scene where he was playing the guy, like he was playing a video game and the guy was jumping around, that was funny to me because that's what I would have imagined if I ever did ask for mushrooms. That's what I would imagine would happen. And I really liked Freddy vs. Jason, even though I never really watched the Jason movies a lot. I really liked that one. Ashley says, I've never seen Saw. I love creepy movies, just no gore. I was so opposed to watching the Saw movies. So I saw the first one and the second one a long time ago. And the gore's not super heavy in my opinion. So I was able to watch those two, but I never went past that. I think I got partway into 3 and couldn't do it. But then last year, things got really, really dark, and I honestly just stopped caring. And my brain went so dark, it shut off so much, just to a degree that I'd never experienced before, that I literally just sat and watched all the Saw movies. We binged the Saw movies, kind of as a coping mechanism. And then I fell in love with them. I didn't watch Spiral. We didn't watch Spiral, but we watched all the other ones. And I fell in love with them, and the storyline was really good. And there are definitely moments that I'm like, oh God, I can't watch this. But the storyline was really strong, and there are certain movies that are just very gore heavy, like Hostel. I could never watch something like that. I had an ex that tried to get me to watch it, and it was just nope. But it depends on the storyline for me, and it depends on the context of the gore. And in the case of Saw, for the most part, it usually worked. God, if it says The Ring, no, absolutely not. Nope. Marcus says, I love the Final Destination movies, but one of my favorite movies is Sixth Sense. Sixth Sense is one of the best movies ever made. I did not see that coming in the end. I did not see that twist. I thought that the first couple of Final Destination movies, I would say the first one was a really cool concept. The second one still makes me freak out if there's a water bottle in the car. The third one was okay, but then everything after that was just, wow, now you're just trying to find random ways to kill people. But okay, so I did promise that I would weigh in a little bit more. So I made the short about the new Linkin Park singer. So I thought about making a follow-up because even Mike Shinoda came out, because the Linkin Park community has been so divisive about this, because there's people that are, well, you need to let the band do what they want. You need to let them choose how to remember Chester. And I'm not saying they can't. I'm not saying that Linkin Park has to listen to me or this group now. I personally am not going to ever look at this as Linkin Park. This is not Linkin Park. Linkin Park died with Chester. I wish they would have just called it Linkin or something and just, let Linkin Park die with Chester. I know Chester was not an original member of Linkin Park technically, so he was not what made the band, but they got famous with him. And I have to say that it's part of my grieving process, like Linkin Park to me was largely Mike and Chester. I'm not saying the rest of the band's not talented, but I didn't listen for Joe Hahn. I didn't listen for Dave. I didn't listen for these other guys. They're talented, but they weren't what made Linkin Park for me. They weren't what made me connect so much to Linkin Park. That was Chester. That was Chester's story. That was Chester's voice. So to me, that was Linkin Park. If you don't see it that way, that is totally fine. You don't have to see it that way. But whether or not they say, well, we're not replacing Chester, that's exactly what you're doing. You can't just say, well, I'm not doing this thing that I'm doing, because you are. That might not be your intent, but that's what you're doing. And I personally am just going to choose not to listen to it. I don't want to make a big stink about it. I don't want to cause a bunch of division in the Lincoln Park community. I don't want to upset people. I want to hold space for people that believe differently, but I personally am not going to consider this Lincoln Park, and I am not going to listen to and support the music. And that's my choice. You know, I support Mike and his solo endeavors, and have since Chester passed away. When Mike did Post Traumatic, I purchased Mike's albums. I went and sat on a sidewalk for 36 hours to meet him, so that I could get the album, so I could do the meet and greet and everything. So it's not like I didn't support them as artists. It's not like I didn't support them doing a project to keep, you know, their careers alive and stuff. Totally support that. I just respectfully wish that even if they would have called it Lincoln or whatever, found some other way to incorporate it, I just really wish they would have called it something else. So that's my opinion. I just feel like I felt like I was making a lot of progress with the grief over Chester, you know, because it hit me really hard. I honestly just personally think that this was disrespectful, and it's just my opinion. That's all. It's just my opinion. It's just my feelings, and I totally own that part of that is to the grief. And Mike released a video saying this is part of people's grief process, and I so appreciate that he recognized that, because it didn't seem like other fans were recognizing that taking something that meant so much to us and trying to change it is very it's very difficult. It's very tender. It's a very tender spot. David says, I would have been gutted if they tried to replace Kurt and Nirvana. And I know that there have been bands that have replaced their singers and they've gone on to still be successful, or they still sounded good, and that's fine. And I'm not saying that it's not possible. I'm not even saying she's not talented. I'm not saying that the other members don't matter. A lot of people were coming onto the short and saying, well, Amanda, you're ignorant because you think that these other people don't make the sound of Linkin Park. I'm like, no, I understand that they do, and I understand that they're important, but I still stand by what I said, that a drummer or a guitarist or whatever, as long as you have that same caliber of talent, it's going to sound pretty much the same. You can't replicate a voice in that same way. It's just not possible. So I that's just how I feel. You guys asked. I wanted to weigh in on it. I might do another follow-up video just responding to Mike's thing, to say those things, because I did get quite a few harsh comments. And I just think it was really unfair. I think it's really unfair to not hold space for people's healing. With that being said, Nick says, my daughter still won't listen or talk about the new Linkin Park. She loved Chester. Yeah, it's not going to be Linkin Park to me. And it bothers me because I feel like I understand what it's like to be a fangirl. I do. But I think that being to that level of hysteria where you can't recognize that other people can think differently, other people can dislike a song and not be a hater. People can dislike the direction that you take and not be haters. They just don't like it, or it's not comfortable for their journey. Like, I am the biggest NSYNC fanatic on the planet, you know, like I would literally sell an organ to go to their reunion concert that is absolutely 100% going to happen, sitting in heaven of the universe, going to happen next year. I'd literally sell an organ. I would literally sell an organ. But I'm not going to stand by Justin Timberlake getting a DUI, DWI. I think it's DWI. Getting a DWI. I'm not going to support that gesture. And it doesn't make me a hater to say that was a poor decision, and I'm not going to support it. I still love the band, but I can love the band and not love the actions of each individual member. I can still even love Justin and love the members and say, you know what? I don't like your behavior. That's a healthy thing to do, my friends. I do love Deadpool, Nick. But my kids here, my dudes, anyone who calls bye 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 the Deadpool dance, I will crawl through the screen Samara style and I will punch you in the face. You are not taking that from us. You are not taking my NSYNC and my bye 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 and my teenage years from me. You cannot have that, TikTok kids. You cannot have that. With that being said, I love you guys. Thank you for holding space for me and for my feelings and stuff. I know that you guys here that come into the chats are pretty understanding. So thank you for that. And thank you for being here for me through these different things. Like I said, if it does seem like I'm producing a little bit less content, it's just because I'm trying to get my footing again. I'm trying to problem solve through this situation with the insomnia. It's really just been a lot. It's making everything else way more difficult. But as I suspected, you guys gave me some positive energy. You put some deposits in my happiness bank. So thank you for that. I hope I was able to do the same. Erin says, Wendy just said, le dîner est prêt. Merci, Wendy. Merci. As I said, gotta go. Dinner's ready. Love you guys. David says, does she realize she just spent the entire stream talking to her shoe? You know what? Right now, David, you could tell me that and I would believe you. So don't gaslight me into thinking that I talked to my shoe. As a matter of fact, no, I didn't because I'm barefoot. But I love you guys so much and I will see you soon.